All right, buckle up, buttercups, because we've got a proper diplomatic car crash unfolding faster than you can say special relationship. Picture this. Britain's shiny new Labour government, barely 6 months into power, has just managed to potentially blow up one of our most crucial security partnerships. And all because Keir Starmer decided to play politics with Palestine. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Today we're diving into how Israel is threatening to cut security ties with Britain over Starmer's Palestine recognition plans. And trust me, this is messy in the kebab after a night out in Newcastle. Now, before we get into the absolute chaos that is British foreign policy right now, let me paint you a picture of what we're dealing with here. Israel and Britain have been security buddies for decades, sharing intelligence like gossip at a village fete. We're talking about the kind of partnership that's prevented terrorist attacks, saved actual lives, and kept both countries safer. But apparently, Sir Keir thought it would be a brilliant idea to potentially torch all of that for what exactly? A few brownie points with his hard-left backbenchers who've been breathing down his neck since day one. The timeline here is absolutely mental when you think about it. Starmer announces his intention to recognize Palestine as a state later this year, probably thinking he's being all progressive and diplomatic. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is sitting in Jerusalem going, "Hold my hummus," because apparently BB doesn't mess around when it comes to diplomatic threats. And honestly, can you blame him? From Israel's perspective, they are watching their longtime ally basically side with their enemies while they are still dealing with the aftermath of the October 7th attacks. But here's where it gets properly spicy. According to diplomatic sources, and we love a good diplomatic source, don't we? Netanyahu isn't just having a quiet word behind closed doors. Oh no, he's considering withdrawing crucial intelligence sharing that has literally prevented terrorist attacks on British soil. We're talking about Mossad intelligence, Israel's equivalent of MI6, that has helped thwart Iranian-linked terror plots right here in London. Remember those massive counterterrorism raids we saw recently? Yeah, Israeli intelligence probably had a hand in making those possible. The irony here is so thick you could cut it with a ceremonial sword. Starmer, the former director of public prosecutions, the man who built his reputation on being tough on crime and terrorism, is potentially sacrificing security cooperation that prevents actual terrorism. It's like a football manager deciding to sell his best defender mid-season because the fans don't like his haircut. Absolutely bonkers. And the warnings from Israeli officials are not subtle, are they? One diplomat basically told Britain to carefully consider the consequences, which in diplomatic speak translates to "don't test us, mate, because we've got options." Another source mentioned that Netanyahu and his ministers have cards they could play too. Now, I don't know about you, but when a country that's been helping prevent terrorist attacks on your soil starts talking about playing cards, that's probably not a bluff you want to call. The whole situation becomes even more ridiculous when you look at who's cheering Starmer's announcement. Spoiler alert, it's not exactly the good guys. Hamas. Yes, Hamas, the terrorist organization that's still holding Israeli hostages from the October 7th massacre, welcomed Starmer's promise with open arms. A Hamas official literally said this meant victory and liberation are closer than we expected. Brilliant endorsement there. Keir. Nothing says, "I'm making the right foreign policy decision," quite like getting a thumbs up from internationally recognized terrorists. Meanwhile, Netanyahu's response was absolutely scathing, and frankly, he didn't hold back. He accused Starmer of rewarding Hamas's monstrous terrorism and punishing its victims. Then came this absolute zinger. A jihadist state on Israel's border today will threaten Britain tomorrow. Appeasement toward jihadist terrorists always fails. It will fail you, too. Ouch. That's not diplomatic language. That's a verbal slap across the face delivered with precision timing. The timing of all this couldn't be worse either. Just this morning, as I'm writing this script, Starmer condemned Israel's plans to take control of Gaza City, calling it wrong and demanding they reconsider immediately. So we've got Britain's Prime Minister simultaneously trying to recognize Palestine while criticizing Israel's security operations, all while potentially losing crucial intelligence sharing. It's like trying to juggle while riding a unicycle on a tightrope over a pit of crocodiles. What's particularly fascinating about this whole mess is how it exposes the impossible position Labour has put itself in. On one hand, they are trying to appear progressive and morally righteous by supporting Palestinian statehood. On the other hand, They are potentially sacrificing real, tangible security benefits that keep British citizens safe. It's virtue signaling taken to its logical extreme, where the signaling becomes more important than the actual consequences. The security implications here are genuinely serious, though, and this isn't just political theater. Israeli intelligence has helped prevent multiple terrorist attacks in Britain over the years. We're talking about real plots, real threats, real lives potentially saved. The Iranian-linked terror plot against London that led to those massive counterterrorism raids? Israeli intelligence played a crucial role in that. So when Netanyahu starts talking about reconsidering security cooperation, that's not an empty threat, that's a genuine risk to British national security. But here's what makes this even more maddening. Starmer's entire justification for this policy seems to be that the situation in Gaza has become intolerable. Fair enough, humanitarian concerns are important. But since when did recognizing Palestine become the magic solution to Gaza's problems? Hamas is still in control. They are still holding hostages, and they are still committed to Israel's destruction. How exactly does British recognition of Palestine change any of that? The really tragic part is that this could have been handled so much better. Diplomatic relationships are built on trust, consistency, and mutual respect. Instead, we've got a prime minister who seems to be making foreign policy decisions based on internal party politics rather than national interest. It's like watching someone burn down their house to spite their neighbor, except in this case, the house is British national security. And let's be honest about what's really driving this decision. Starmer didn't wake up one morning and suddenly develop passionate feelings about Palestinian statehood. This is about managing his own party, keeping the hard-left faction happy, and trying to differentiate Labour from conservatives on foreign policy. It's domestic politics masquerading as principled foreign policy, and everyone can see right through it. The broader implications here are massive too. If Israel follows through on these threats, it sends a message to other allies about the reliability of British foreign policy. Are we the kind of country that throws away decades of security cooperation for political point scoring? Because that's certainly how it's starting to look from the outside. What's particularly galling is that this whole situation was entirely avoidable. There are ways to express concern about humanitarian conditions in Gaza without essentially siding with Hamas and alienating a crucial security partner. Diplomatic nuance exists for a reason, but apparently subtlety is in short supply at number 10 these days. The response from other European countries will be interesting to watch too. France and Canada have made similar noises about Palestine recognition, so they'll be watching this very carefully. If Israel follows through on cutting security ties with multiple Western allies, that's a significant shift in Middle Eastern geopolitics. And all because some politicians couldn't resist the urge to virtue signal on the international stage. Looking ahead, someone needs to ask the hard questions about whether this is really worth it. Is recognizing Palestine, knowing it will likely change nothing on the ground, worth potentially losing intelligence cooperation that saves British lives? Is keeping a few backbenchers happy worth alienating one of our most important security partners? Because from where I'm sitting, this looks like a catastrophically bad trade-off. The whole thing reads like a masterclass in how not to conduct foreign policy. You don't announce major diplomatic shifts without considering the consequences. You don't alienate crucial allies to appease your own party members. And you certainly don't celebrate endorsements from terrorist organizations as validation of your policy choices. What makes this even more frustrating is that there were probably ways to thread this needle. Expressing support for a two-state solution, calling for peace, advocating for humanitarian aid. These are all positions that wouldn't have triggered this kind of response from Israel. But no, we had to go straight to recognition. Consequences be damned. So here we are, 6 months into a Labour government, and we're already facing the prospect of losing crucial security intelligence because a Prime Minister decided to play politics with foreign policy. It's like watching a masterclass in diplomatic self-harm executed with precision timing and maximum damage potential. The really sad part is that ordinary British citizens are the ones who will potentially pay the price for this political posturing. If Israeli intelligence stops flowing to British security services, that's not going to hurt Keir Starmer personally. It's going to potentially make all of us less safe. And for what? So he can say he stuck it to Netanyahu? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one where we'll probably be discussing whatever diplomatic disaster unfolds next because, let's be honest, at this rate it won't be long before the next crisis hits.